Hello, Nicholas. It is great to see you again. Just to give the audience some context, this is what I had written on Twitter for our previous interview. So, devastated by the death of his brother, Nicholas transformed into a successful entrepreneur, scaling his company to 2.5 million. And since joining the real world, his business and AI skills have earned him a sought after reputation by big tech giants. So, that was a very brief intro for that. But since then, how have you been? It's been a while.
It has been a while, sir. Thank you very much for the great introduction, and I've missed you. So since the last time we spoke, a lot in my life has changed. I think it's been upwards of maybe 6 months now since we last talked, and almost everything in my life is different. The place I am, whether it's staying in life, if it's in business, if it's the things about me, my mannerisms, I'm just a completely transformed person. So I'm looking forward to today.
That is super cool to hear. And just to give an accurate timeline, that Twitter post was on September 13th. So what? October, November, December. Actually, been 4 months, it would seem.
4 months, yep.
But yeah. With how much you're doing, with how much progress you're making, I'm sure it seems like it's been longer. Because when you're making use of every single day, yeah, time goes by a bit differently than for a normal person.
Yeah,
So
you get into this swing of I don't have enough time, and it
yeah.
just gets constantly slipping away from you because you're doing so much.
Mhm.
I never thought I'd get to that point. It was like, can I just burn some hours today? Can I just pass the time? Now I'm always yearning for more time.
Right. Which again means you're making the most out of the life you were given, which is always a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess most basic question would be how have things changed then since that last interview? What comes to mind in terms of changes?
Business and lifestyle, both huge changes. I've moved up in my company as I ascend towards ownership in the company. I'm continuously trying to make strides in overall improvement. If you are the owner of your own business, that's exactly what you want to do. You want more money, you want more employees, more locations, and we've added another million in revenue from last year. So we are crushing it in terms of
Mhm.
the tech space, getting more clients and innovating. We've stepped into the world of AI. We're now a case study for the big tech giants that we're under, and we're on their front page. If you go to Microsoft.com/copilot, we're right there. Our company name and a huge long written article from them written about us. We were the first people to get it, along with one other company. So in business, we've been on top of innovation, top of bringing our finances to new levels, and we've even hired 3 new people since you and I last spoke. So just trying to scale that up has been huge. And changing myself has been big, whether it's the people I surround myself with. When we did our interview 4 months ago, I really didn't have many friends. I wouldn't say there was many people I'd hang out with. There wasn't many people I'd go see. Now I'm traveling. I've been to DC to meet some people I had never met before. Went paintballing and for hours got to know these brothers who I wanted to meet and get to know. And now traveling is becoming a key piece of my life, whether it's finding places in the US. I'm going to get my passport soon so I can ditch the US and go see some stuff abroad. I'm trying to change everything about myself now.
Mhm. And that's pretty common because initially, when you start out, you might have to leave the people behind who are dragging you down. Maybe that's a rough way to say it, dragging you down, but
Right.
um, the beginning is usually a lone wolf path, but then at some point, you just become a winner, and winners attract winners. So as you keep developing yourself, working on lifestyle, on business, everything, it basically becomes inevitable that you'll attract similar people to you, and that you'll be attracted to them as well, and just have a common ground to connect on and be able to establish relationships through. And that's something people don't realize who are just starting out. They think, "Man, will I always be alone like this? How am I gonna find other people on the same path?" So yeah, again, that's happened to me, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you see it now as well, as you just said.
Right. It's almost like a little bit of a purge in your life. Maybe not something that absolutely gets rid of those people around you, but those key five people, we say, who shape you, make you into the person you are. You might purge that group, and it takes a while to find those people. I've been, even now, I wouldn't say I have those five people I want to be like, or I want around me, even in my life yet. I have some, I have a few, and some I'm even considering I want to spend a lot of my time with. But even
Mhm.
now, it's almost still that purged path of I need to win. It's just me right now, and I'm gonna find the people I want to be around soon enough. That's my outlook. If it doesn't
It's like,
come tomorrow, oh well. If it comes
yeah.
next year, great. But maybe it does come tomorrow. I don't know.
Mhm. That's just how it is. You don't know when it will come, but as long as you're on this trajectory, it's inevitable that it will come. So yeah.
Right.
Cool. And then for the business, in terms of the projections you had, clearly you've blown them out of the water. So what caused that drastic momentum for the company to just skyrocket upwards?
It was moving with speed in a lot of different areas. We completely rebranded the company, so our previous design we had for our company, it looked good, but it wasn't something you would trust. You go to this platform, all right, what do they do? Who are they? What really is Nick's company? And how can I use them? And since that point, we've not only changed our messaging completely around our imagery, we now have two different sites, one for our main company and one for the program under the company. They're all generating leads. Our marketing department's running the company, so they're constantly funneling new lead sources, prospects. It's it was almost like a flip on the head from what we were doing, where we let everything happen organically. If somebody found us, they found us. We'll sell them. We'll do whatever we can to bring them in. And now we have people coming in and they were looking for us. They found us organically on the web, or they heard about us, they saw us, they got mail from us, they got emails from us. Everything about that has changed. And that's just the external facing side. Internally, we had to go through this growth period it wasn't even like a growth spurt being painful. It was like a growth spurt that everybody wanted. The employees we have under us are not only grateful, but they're shaping the company with the output they're giving us. Hey, when I was onboarded and you hired me, I didn't like these things, or these are the pitfalls I had. When I got into this job role, I didn't understand the expectations and what you guys wanted of me. Same thing with the actual work we do, creating the basics like standard operating procedure, what you're supposed to do when you get on a meeting with the client, etc. It I take a lot of my knowledge from a book from Vern Harnish called Scaling Up. And as I read through the book, I'd say about a year and a half ago, employees was the big chapter. I felt like we didn't do a lot. We didn't have a lot of extra employees. We weren't constantly employing to scale up. And when we had picked up an account manager, our first one, it was very successful. And that made me want to start pursuing more in that book. And as I realized, it's the four key elements of your company you just need to build, and I stuck to those. I put my nose to the ground and I didn't stop. And I'm not gonna stop, that's for sure. Everything's been transforming. Just this month, we launched our newest website. So it's all rebranded, it's done. One of those big tech giants is now heavily incorporated into that website. They asked for a specific page from us for them, and they're constantly monitoring the page. They love it, they've given us great feedback. But transforming the business took a lot of time, and I can't pretend like I did it alone. Whether it's the other members of ownership, if it's the employees who are working endlessly, I almost feel like I'm the visionary. I'm putting down the path. These are the things we should do. I'm going to help you execute where I can, but my delegation, I have a team of unicorns under me. And I couldn't do a lot of the things I do now without have identifying that and saying, I can trust these people. And where I can't trust them, I'll train them. So that way I can trust them.
Right.
So it was a big cultural shift, a big workflow shift, big changes all around.
And how would you say you set up that environment for your employees to thrive?
We copy. So our owner came from a company in the early 2000s. It was one of the biggest mortgage lenders in the entire United States, and they had a very interesting culture. And that's how we grow our environment. The culture is you work when you have to work, and you don't work when you don't want to work. If my employees have two calls a day, the rest of the day, it could be 6, 7 hours, they have that time off. Now, sure, I'm not going to like when my employee's not productive. So they have all these different incentives, whether it's finding leads to go sell so I can put money in their pockets. If it's trying to develop systems internally so our company runs better, I give them incentives. This environment has bred almost like a loose collar on their neck where they can breathe whenever they want. They can be as busy whenever they want. And the people who try, they're constantly nose to ground working as hard as I am, are getting as many rewards as we can give them. So the environment itself is very free, but it's very, very structured. For the people who want to be included, there are things you have to do. Our requirements are set in stone, but the second they embark on that path, it's an open path, just like the environment is now. I'm going to be there. I'm going to help you. You learn at your own pace, but I'm not going to put you in that ring of fire till I think you're ready. And if you're one of those people who only does their 2 calls, you're done for the day, you'll never see the ring of fire.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're one of those people, you're making the documents with me, you're scaling up with me, I'm going to do everything I can to enable you. And we constantly have to remind them, guys, if you want to do big things, if you want to move up in the company, or if you just want to move up in the field, some people might leave us one day for another tech company. This is the things we want from you, and these are the things we'll reward you with. And it's been nothing but a wildfire, and they all love it. It's always constant positive criticism and feedback. And as we employ more people, it's stayed that way. So the environment took no time at all to grow because we've been like this for the last 5, 10 years. But in terms of this year alone, we've really shifted the culture in terms of requirements as well as rewards, almost like an incentivization system for good habits.
Right. Like, which completely makes sense. And just from listening to you speaking, it seems you've stepped up to that leadership role very well. And that follows with my question then. What do you think makes a good leader in a company structure?
I A leader takes a lot of different things, and I won't sit here and say I'm the perfect leader. I appreciate the compliment, by the way, because I take a lot of pride in trying to be the best leader I can. But a leader is somebody who properly guides another individual. There's so many methods to lead, whether it's in fear, if it's in love. I've met right down the middle, and I've only ever had to use fear in terms of, let's say, our business once or twice. This is not something that ever comes to the forefront. But the reason it's been used, or the reason I've even had to think about using it, was clear cut path of this needs to be done or absolute tragedy strikes. And otherwise, my employees know they can lean on me for anything. If they need to come to me, they can speak to me. I will listen. I will give them honest feedback, but I am there. It doesn't matter who you are in the company, one on ones are always available. But that extends into if they can't do it, they know at all times they can come to their leader, they can sit down and say, hey, I need training on this, I need information on this. A client was bullying me. I've just been absolutely abused these past couple calls. Can you help me? It's the single person they know that can do everything, that can support them and help them. And the other aspect of being a really good leader is in not inhibiting their growth. I feel like in some places, whether it's business, sports, even in friendships, the person who does the most will inhibit those around them so they cannot grow. And when that happens, it not only stifles that individual, but it almost limits all of their creative capabilities, their want, their drive. And I don't like to lead that way. I want to put them in front of the center stage. I want them doing the same things I'm doing, standing proud, making sure their voices are heard. And we're a cohesive team. We're almost like an army. I might be the leader standing before my army and saying, guys, this week, this month, this year, these are our goals. These are the things we're doing. But without my strategists, without my cabinet, even without the lowest and the newest employees or the army members who have just joined as soldiers, I need all of them. And each of them play a crucial role. And as long as I focus on that, I've noticed my leadership has been not only very well received, but it's been very easy. My stress mostly comes from how am I going to make money? What are we going to do in the business that's new? It's almost never leadership. So a good leader has to talk the talk, do the walk, and you can't ask somebody something to do something, for example, if you don't do it yourself. I'm never going to tell my employees to work 10-hour days unless I do it. So some days I'm working 16 plus hours. I just don't put the laptop down. But that's so I can go and say, hey, I know you don't have any calls today, but I need this work done in 2 days or less. Can you have it on my desk tomorrow night? They're going to say yes every time. Because not only do we have that free environment, but they know their leader, whenever they ask something of that magnitude, I will complete it in that fashion every single time. So do what you expect has been a big part of that as well. Those are the key attributes I'd say are very important in a leader, and it's where I've been growing as a leader myself.
Mhm. Very solid answer. And it's interesting listening to you because towards the end, I was just thinking, interesting how mature someone can be at this age, at our age. Because it's fairly rare these days. You're how old did you say?
I'm 25.
Yeah, so 25 and already speaking in this way and looking out for your employees, building a business, taking on so much responsibility. It just seems that's something you'd expect from someone, I don't know, 40 plus when I look at it. But this is, I don't know if this is off topic, but just something I'm thinking about now.
Sure.
So, what do you think leads to someone developing in that way?
So I personally try and figure that out with each individual because each individual wants what they want. And I can't tell them that. I've had people come into the company who they maybe start off as an account manager, but their dream was to be a coding expert. They want to build platforms, they want to do big, great things. And in my world, it's much easier for us to collaborate and meet in the middle. If you want to be that top dog, you want to one day be a leader in the company, or you want to be somebody who makes it out of the role we've instilled in you and you grow towards that. I try and do whatever I can to give them that path to grow. If that path is not already laid out, there's no way to make money there or anything along those lines. If that person vocalizes to me, listen, this is where I want to be. Is there any way to accomplish that? That's the trigger of we need to start building, we need to start creating a vision that they're able to partake in because in many aspects I've noticed it's not possible to make them want what you want. Sure, we can have the same goals, we can all want money, but I can't make them want to wake up every day, do the job role, and then love it. So when it comes to their growth, it starts all the way at the very, very basic portion of hiring alone. I'm not going to bring you in unless I know all of your goals, all of your wants align up front, because that makes it significantly easier as we grow together. So making somebody want is it's possible. I could make people want with like incentives. I can make people want to sell. For example, some of our employees hate picking up the phone, calling out to cold leads. Well, I told them, hey, if you sell a lead, I'll give you 80% of their first month. Suddenly, everybody's picking up the phone, they're blowing through calls. So I can incentivize them, but to actually make them at the end of the day want something more, something they can pursue throughout the year, something they can pursue in longevity with their career with us. It really comes down to, as a leader, sitting down with them, making sure, hey, are these things that we're doing aligned with what you want? I think our review process alone at the company is a little bit different from what most reviews are, where you sit down, this is everything you do good, this is everything you do bad, here are the changes you need to make. We take the same honest criticism back. Have we been putting you on a path you can succeed? Do you feel like you've been given all of the tools you need to succeed in this role or in this light? So there's a lot of things that can make a person want. There's a lot of ways to understand what they want, but acting on it is a whole nother universe, realistically, in business, at least from what I feel.
Yeah. And again, very interesting angle and completely makes sense. How much has how much do you actually utilize the real world? Have you completely basically gone through all the lessons and now applied everything you need to and you don't really go back to anymore? So basically like quote unquote graduated, or do you still go and look at any of the campuses?
So I'd probably fit more in that graduated section because I've I've gone through all the courses. I'm going on, I think, my second year in the real world now.
Mm.
And unless new courses come out, there's no other training for me to do. So, on the fundamentals that I feel like I need to readdress, although I have my notes and I have things I can go back on, for example, if I sit down, I'm going to make this long marketing campaign. I crack open the freelancing campus, or I
Mhm.
crack open the copywriting campus. I go through some of the basic lessons again, and I just have that fuel. So I'm not in there every day. I'm not posting as many wins or any wins like I was before, but that's primarily because of the track I'm now on. I know up
Mhm.
here what my wins are. I know there's a real world out there that I need to pursue, that I'm constantly going after, but the I can't leave that information behind.
Right.
So a great example was that AI campus. I was coming close to graduating before that came out. It came out. I had to get into the AI campus, understand how to use it, what's the forefront of AI, and I constantly go back for those new lessons. And a lot of the professors are making new lessons, so there's always a reason to go back. But my day to day doesn't include it anymore.
Cool. Which again is how it should be. Like you go in, you learn from it, and then you apply it in real life, and at some point you can basically graduate, just like a normal university.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. So where do you see everything scaling for you then, and heading for you? I think I already asked before. Has anything changed in terms of the short term, medium term, long term, or do you just want to state again what those goals are?
Hmm. I think they definitely have changed because, like last year, for example, my goal for the year was just make $400,000. And frankly, I fell short of that goal. That's something I have to own up to. However, I also made the most money I've ever made in my life. So that goal, I'll call it the big hairy goal, was something that maybe I couldn't obtain in reality in that just short period of time doing what I was doing on the path I was on. But I also found success that was wildly different to anything I could compare in my life. So my short term goal is still finding a home for me and my family, and now it includes starting a family, which was not previously on my list. I feared starting a family. I feared having children of my own, and now I realize that the only way to be happy in life is to actually have a family, to build family around me, have my own children, one day be a grandfather, those kind of things. So my short term is starting that family, and my long term is continuous growth of that family. I want to raise children who want to be like me or be successful and experience life and love life. And of course, I still have those monetary goals. I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to be geographically free, which I'm working on more than I have ever worked on, but there's a significant amount of learning that goes into geographical freedom. So to put that on my list, it's definitely now in the long-term goals. And I'd say that geographical freedom not only comes with the ability to discover, but the ability to live. So I do want to live in other places, whether it's all over the US, if it's someplace in Prague, if it's out in Dubai. I want to live other places and do great things. So my goals have changed exponentially in terms of the things that are included, because starting a family is by no means a small goal. But I'm finally getting to the place where not only the woman in my life, the money in my life, and my own mental state are so different in comparison to who I was just 2 or 3 years ago.
Mhm.
It's These goals are now something that they don't just kind of sit in my head like I'm going to go tell somebody I'm going to make a bunch of money this year, and then maybe I work 6 months out of the 12 months to actually make that goal happen. It's now round the clock. I think of these goals, I dream of these goals, I meditate on these goals, I'm on the treadmill running to these goals. It does not matter where I'm at. Those goals have absolutely changed. And maybe in another year they might be a little bit different, but I feel like those ones will not only take some time to accomplish, they're probably going to drive me to do some of the biggest things I've ever done. And $400,000 in comparison to the new goals is kind of, I'd almost say, minuscule. And now in my shortest term, I might be going for 400,000 in 6 months versus the year, or there's a big change. And
Mhm.
I think I'm most excited for family.
Which is again beautiful to hear. Always, just like even though I don't have children of my own, it really does just seem like a miracle how it all happens.
It does. I sit back and I wonder about the people who, even in their 40s, their 50s, they rely so heavily on their parents. And when they lose their parents, the detriment it causes their soul, their mind, their life around them. And the most common denominator I find in those people who are shattered by that is they don't build their own family, they don't build their own friendships or meaningful relationships that are long lasting. And I think to my prior problems, just not too long ago, where I was constantly quivering at the fear of my father might die, my mother might die. In reality, that's something a child lives through regardless. That is natural progression of life. And what fixes that, what makes that feeling better, is being the leader of your own family, having your own family, and then growing that family. It replaces those holes. Now, of course, I'll always miss my parents. I love both of
Yeah.
my parents dearly. But not falling out of life and falling out of our natural purpose, it creating children seems to be that miracle, as you put it.
All right. Beautifully said. Okay, and then you said you didn't end up reaching your 400K goal, just personal income. Are you comfortable revealing what you did get to, or is that something you prefer to keep more confidential?
No, that is okay. I made 132,000 for the year, so I tripled my last year, which was it was just under 40,000. So I'm doing really well.
Mhm. All right, and then with the way the company is heading now, will be quite something to hear what you'll end up making at the end of this year. If it was
Yeah, I,
132,000 last year.
I'm hoping by the July timeframe, some of the numbers are 10 times if possible. There's
Mhm.
big fish in the water, to say the least. There's one of the deals alone on the table I have is 180,000 for the year.
Mhm.
So I'm also finally getting into the realm of opportunity in in the mindset that the opportunities around me are never ending. There was a time when I would pick and choose my opportunities. I wouldn't think about that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity. Now I'm grabbing onto so much that so much is being talked about around us and so much is being influenced around us that it's almost finding its way to the doorstep. So I'm definitely hoping this year as well we crush that number tenfold.
All right. Okay, I love that. And I guess final thing then, just clarify. You mentioned personal changes in lifestyle. Is there any more to add there? In the past 4 months, how anything personally has changed?
Yeah, lifestyle's been a big change for me because I realize that if you do not love yourself, if you can't come to terms with who you are, the things you do in your life, everything else is second to that. There is no way to become rich. There is no way to be building a family or even moving through life in a positive direction without finding in yourself that you love yourself. And it was massively important for me to actually change the things I was doing every day instead of, looking at porn. If it was doing drugs, now it's getting in the gym every morning. It's cooking for myself and making sure I'm eating healthy. I'm getting rid of all these processed foods and sugars. I don't do booze anymore. I had to take booze completely out of my life. There was things I had to fundamentally understand are impacting me, and if they kept impacting me, that was who I would be. They would be me as a person. And there's still the things I struggle with, the things I haven't gotten over, but that's what makes me me. It's my hero's journey, and it's the things in my life I pursue to change. I There's almost no way I am the same as 3 years ago. And I'm hoping as we get further away from our last interview, I can almost say the same thing as when I met you that time.
Mhm.
Whether it's the way I speak, if it's the way I act, the way I hold myself, if it's the way I look, I'm in the best physical shape of my life. And I'm not even in that great shape. I'm well above double digits in body fat, but it's in comparison to who I was or what I was ever as a human, I'm leagues different.
Mhm.
So that's been big changes for me. I'd say on a spiritual level, things have been changing for me too. I don't know if per se I've found God or even picked a religion or maybe even pursue and believe in religion, but there's something here, whether it's I'm addressing my soul, if it's I'm addressing a higher power. When I take the time to meditate and think to myself about the things I want, manifesting, money, manifesting wealth, manifesting life, if it's changing my thought habits, changing the things I crave, there's been a lot of discovery needed to be done. And I have not stopped day in, day out, whether I'm awake or if I'm just about to go to bed. I do not stop improving who I am. And I'm going to keep on that path because it seems, at least for now, the way I'm improving myself has also improved the lives of those around me. And I don't say that in an egotistical way. I say it as a way that I'm identifying I am growing positively, and I fully intend to keep growing that way.
Right. And that's exactly how it works. As you continue improving yourself, you'll influence the people around you, which is a big part
Absolutely.
of why I do it as well. Because I know there's a lot in terms of, all right, without rambling too much, I know what my potential is. And when I'm able to reach that potential, I'll be able to have a huge impact on not just the people around me, but community, communities, and potentially even the world. That's what I'm trying for. So again, but that all requires you to first become the best version of you. Because
Right.
if you're no one, you're not going to be able to have like barely any impact. So yeah, again, without rambling too much, I think that's the best way I can summarize. Cool. And now, since this began in the real world, we can end with for people who are unsure about joining, because what if they'll get scammed for $50? What advice would you have to them?
My advice to the people scared of being scammed out of their $50 would be identifying what you want out of life. Because the reason I joined was I wanted more for the people around me at first. It wasn't for me, it was so I could provide more for my family, it was so I could learn how to do great things. And that eventually ended up transforming who I was. If you're on a path and you feel like you can't see the light forward, whether it's business, if it's in your relationships, it is a very, very fast track. And it doesn't fix everything because, quite frankly, the real world does. And we talked about it a second ago, it's for learning. And although I've graduated, I am a student of knowledge, and I have to keep pursuing that knowledge. But you don't just take knowledge and suddenly become the guy driving the Bugatti. You take the knowledge and you have to learn from it. You have to train with it. And this stuff takes time. The people who post wins, I know my wins might be a little bit separate from some in the real world where these people are pursuing the actual skill sets that are taught in the campuses. These people that are making wins, the people who are going out and doing Amazon FBA, that are doing copywriting emails, they sit down after they do their training and they chug and chug away. They're hustling, sending emails out, finding clients, bringing money in. They are collecting. So my advice would be you can't just go in to just read things and suddenly become a millionaire, but it is the absolute right path if you're trying to improve your life. It's very hard to meet people that think this way, the way that Rokas and I are thinking, and it's full of them. Then there's the degenerates in there, like any platform, and they get cut out real quick, trimmed like the weeds of a bad garden, and
Mhm.
that's what makes it a powerful platform. So I'd say you can't lose that $50 unless you don't have faith in yourself.
Alright. Again, very well put, Nicholas. And for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
So I am on Twitter or X. You'll have to look up my full name, which is Nicholas Tessitore. But I'm always on there posting, trying to keep up with the world and what's going on. And that's the best place to find me.
Cool. So I'll add that to the description of the video, so anyone interested can check that. And what a great catch up, Nicholas. Been almost 35 minutes. A very solid progress from you. Always amazing to hear. You blew past your goals for the business. Congratulations on that. In terms of the people you're surrounding yourself with, always good to find people on the same path. And now that would just help you supercharge progress again. And yeah, look forward to the next one because exciting things ahead, especially with the trajectory you're heading, the things you're doing. Very promising future with a lot of impact that you can have. So we'll make sure to try get that documented.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it as always, Rokas.
All the best.
You too, brother.